Hello everyone, it's Mr. Wyman again, and I'm going to read for you another story, a BRER Fox tale. If you're anything like me, you've been thoroughly enjoying these stories. I love them, and I'm getting so much out of it. This particular story, you'll get tons out of. The illustrations are phenomenal. The character development is interesting. The plot is very necessary. Step by step, and it's a short tale. The theme is pretty obvious. In fact, the very end has a fun little phrase that is kind of puts it all into perspective. This is what we're going to do today. You really use making predictions when you're reading this text, okay? And I want you to play a game with me. I'm going to pause and I'm going to ask you to make a prediction. You should pause the video and you should write down what you think is going to happen next. And then continue, after writing, continue the video and see if your prediction came true. It very well could, but you might find yourself surprised. It'll just be a couple times that we do this, but it'll be a fun little game. Okay, BRER Fox goes hunting. One day, BRER Fox decided he needed to get his mind off his encounters with BRER Rabbit. So he decided to distract himself by going hunting. BRER Fox left for the woods early in the morning, hours before the sun peeked up over the hills. He spent most of the day in the woods, and it was a good day of hunting. He bagged a whole mess of game. The last thing on his mind was BRER Rabbit. On the way home, he sang to himself as he ambled down the road. At least he thought he was singing to himself. But as it happened, someone heard BRER Fox's singing as he passed by the old oak tree about a mile from his house. Okay, first time, let's do it. Pause your video and write down what you think is going to happen next. Go. All right, now we're going to see if your prediction came true. And that someone was BRER Rabbit. If you had guessed BRER Rabbit was going to witness BRER Fox's singing, well then, you're right. Maybe you put a little more detail into your predictions. Try that next time. Let's see what happens from BRER Rabbit witnessing BRER Fox's singing. He was catching a little bunny nap around back of the old oak tree. Right then, he heard BRER Fox's song. Listen to the poetry in this. I've got a mess of game, and it sure is sweet. It took a bit of work, but I'm glad to have the meat. I'm gonna go home and cook it right up. I'm just about as happy as a newborn pup. BRER Rabbit liked the thought that BRER Fox had so much game. Why do you think he liked that? When I first read this, I was like, Remember, these are animals, but not really animals. This is anthropomorphism, and it's almost anthropomorphism in reverse, because it's not animals acting like people. You can think of this as like people dressed up as animals, because these are actual characters, humans from the southern United States that people would be telling stories about. It could even very well be people, the people who are listening to these stories could be imagining actual humans, people they know, and they probably would love to see the people that they know get tricked in the way the characters from these stories get tricked. So, BRER Rabbit liked the thought of BRER Fox having so much game. BRER Rabbit got up and ran through the woods ahead of BRER Fox. BRER Fox was out of sight, just around the bend, so BRER Rabbit lay down in the middle of the road, silent as a log. Okay, again, pause your video, try making a prediction to see what's going to happen next. Put some detail into it. Maybe even draw a picture. Brer Fox rounded the bend and stopped his singing immediately. There, in the middle of the road, was the fattest rabbit he'd ever seen. My goodness, if that isn't the fattest rabbit I've ever seen, why, that rabbit would feed me for 2 or 3 months. Brer Rabbit didn't really appreciate being called fat, but he kept still. Brer Fox looked at the bag of game in his other hand. Still, I've got plenty of game already, Brer Fox told himself. I guess I'll go home first and come back for the rabbit later. He started humming and left the rabbit behind. Did you predict any of this? Did you think that Fox would see the rabbit and think, and know that it was Brer Rabbit? Or did you think that he might imagine that it's just a rabbit sitting in the road dead, right? And now in the text, in this tale, Brer Fox has to make a decision. So, should he just leave the rabbit and assume it'll still be there, right? There's that word, assume, just like imagine that it's not going to go anywhere, and come back for it? Or should he, he's already done a good job hunting and has plenty of food. The illustration here has Brer Rabbit with clothes on, but you have to imagine people telling these stories over and over and over and over. They're not going to imagine animals with clothing on. This is just a fun illustration in the text for us to know that it's Brer Rabbit. Probably the illustrator should have maybe made it more like furry and an actual animal, but it's their prerogative. So Brer Rabbit was not about to give up. He ran through the woods again, up ahead of Brer Fox, and lay back down in the road. Brer Fox nearly dropped his bag. When he rounded the bend, there was another dead rabbit, and this one looked even fatter than the first. Brer Rabbit had puffed out his stomach and cheeks to look a little larger. He also noticed an abandoned wheelbarrow nearby. Here's the wheelbarrow. Okay, pause the video and make a prediction. What do you think Brer Fox is going to do? Write it down. Draw a picture even. Okay, so here's what happens. Well, I'll be an uncle's monkey, a monkle's unky, a whatever, another rabbit. I can't pass this up twice. Right then and there, he decided that it was worth his while to leave his game. Game being a bag full of animals he had already shot with his musket thing here, right? His gun. And he already has food that he can cook up at home, right? So he's going to leave his bag full of food and go back for the first rabbit. Now this I didn't expect. Bring it up around the bend and then take both rabbits and the game home in the wheelbarrow. Well, that makes sense. So he dropped his game and singing to himself, he went back after the first rabbit. Now it's probably easy at this point to make a prediction as to what's going to happen, because you know that this isn't a big fat rabbit. It's Brer Rabbit, the trickster, the notorious nemesis of Brer Fox. But pause your video, write down your prediction, see if it comes true. Put detail, try drawing a picture. When he was out of sight, Brer Rabbit unpuffed his cheeks, got up, took the bag full of Brer Fox's game, and set out for home. He ate very well that week. Several days later, he met Brer Fox on the road. Now, when I first read this story, I was like, wait a minute, rabbits eat clover and they're herbivores. So how is Brer Rabbit going to be eating this bag full of meat? The hunting game of Brer Fox. Remember, these are humans. These are people. This story is fake. It's anthropomorphism. So, I heard you went hunting the other day. Brer Rabbit chuckled to Brer Fox. What did you catch? And here's what I promised you. The saying at the very end of the story that is the theme. I caught a whole bag full of scents a little too late. grumbled Brer Fox. What is sense? We're not talking about the senses like taste, sight, hearing, touch, smell. Sense being like common sense, like thinking, figuring things out. He figured out that he was being tricked, right? Of course, it was too late. He had had a wonderful day hunting, was very successful, and then got tricked out of it by Brer Rabbit. The whole reason why Brer Fox went hunting in the first place. It almost makes you feel badly for Brer Fox. But guess what? Foxes eat rabbits. Rabbits eat grass and clover, and they are basically harmless animals. And that's what you have to keep in mind when reading these stories. It's tempting to feel badly for Brer Fox until you realize Brer Fox went out and shot like all your friends, and now he's planning on eating it, and Brer Rabbit tricked him out of that, right? I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you had fun making some predictions. Maybe they came true, maybe they didn't, and next time, hopefully you'll do an even better job making predictions and continue developing that skill. It's really important in reading and experiencing literature.